welcome to the Bridge Podcast. My name is Vicky, and I am so excited to have you here today. Today, we are going to be diving into one of our pillars on this platform, which is about relationships. As much as I don't necessarily like talking about relationship because I feel like there's been so much talks about relationships, I definitely feel like there are some specific aspects of relationship that we can explore and talk about. And frankly, be truthful with each other about why it's a good or a bad idea. So today, I am going to be talking about why long distance relationship is such a bad idea. I know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but ladies and gentlemen, we know one person or another in our lives who have been involved in long distance relationship before. Some of us have success stories, other people don't. But today I will use the next couple of minutes kind of talking about all those things. Specifically, I will be talking to you about why you should completely stay away from long distance relationship because honestly, it just never works out. And if it does, the success rate is very low. And we're going to get into some stats. I'll be coming with a lot of numbers today because I want to make sure that when I give you these reasons, it makes sense and you can actually comprehend it from the perspective of research, survey, and success or unsuccessful stories out there to be able to make an informed decision if you're already into one or if you're planning to get into one. All right. So there are 5 reasons that I'm going to be giving you today as to why you should not be pursuing a long distance relationship. Number one, I'll keep it short, simple, and sweet. The first reason why you do not want to be pursuing a long distance relationship is because of the lack of physical intimacy. Oh, yeah, I know what you're thinking. I'm not talking that kind of intimacy. I am specifically talking about how physical touch is essential for emotional bonding. And the absence of that can lead to feelings of loneliness. It can also lead to frustration in a lot of people. Now let's backtrack a little bit. Sometimes in 2023, I remember in 2023, specifically around mid 2023, the US Surgeon General came up with what they call an epidemic, which was what? Loneliness. They found out that I think it's about, if I'm not mistaken, um, a lot of US adults, a lot of adults in the US are suffering from loneliness. And what they said was that there is an epidemic of loneliness in the US and lacking connection can increase the risk for premature death. OMG, right? There's an epidemic of loneliness in the United States, and lacking connection can increase the risk for premature death to levels comparable to 15 cigarettes per day. Can you imagine 16 cigarettes? And this was not a study. I take that back. This was an advisory from the US Surgeon General. They did not stop there. There was this report that was released that said that the title of this report, Epidemic of Loneliness and Isolation. And what it found was that even way before the pandemic, because I know some of you might argue and say, hey, this has nothing to do with long distance or whatever. This is more of what you would call the pandemic, right? This has nothing to do with the pandemic. This is way before the pandemic. And what they found was that about half of US adults reported experiencing levels of loneliness. And it warns that physical consequences of poor connection can be devastating, including a 29% increased risk of heart disease, a 32% of increased risk of stroke, and a 50% increased risk of developing dementia for older adults. Need I say more about why you need physical touch for emotional bonding? And this is why I make this the first thing to talk about on this platform, because it is important that you know what you're missing when you are in a long distance relationship. There is going to be lack of physical intimacy, and that alone is very, very scary based on all these numbers that we just went through. And there was another research that found that lack of physical intimacy or physical distance can negatively affect relationship satisfaction. I mean, if you're going through something, right, you want to talk to your partner, you want to talk to someone close to you, and the person is thousands of miles away, that takes away everything from that relationship, because now you can't even bond with them emotionally. For that reason, do not get into a long distance relationship. Number two reason why you want to stay completely away from long distance relationship, brothers and sisters, is because of miscommunication. Come to think of it, there is always going to be communication challenges in relationship anyways. It gets worse when there is no physical, um, when the person is not in close proximity. It is so difficult to connect with someone when they're very far away from you. It is easy for you to misinterpret what they say via text. It is easy for you to misinterpret what they say even over the phone. It could be even worse when it's email, because that can be formal, it's just there's so much that can go wrong in those channels of communication when you are communicating with someone who is far away compared to someone who you have face-to-face communication with. So miscommunication is more likely due to reduced face-to-face communication. There was a study that was conducted, and it showed that long distance couples reported 40% more miscommunications compared to those in close proximity relationships. 40%. That's a huge number. And the reason is because there's the lack of close proximity. You can't talk to the person face to face. You can't clarify anything. So sometimes it gets very confusing. And so it's important that you realize that if you are getting into a long distance relationship, there's always going to be communication challenges. How do you plan to resolve that? You're going to spend most of your time on the phone talking to this person about what they said, what you assumed it meant. Who has time for that? Come on, man. The third reason why I am saying 100% do not get into long distance relationship is trust issues. Okay, let's talk about it, right? There is a study that was conducted at the University of California, and they found that 30% of long distance couples reported experiencing jealousy, which often erodes trust and leads to conflict. I mean, this is not rocket science, right? If you are dating someone or you are exclusive with someone who is very far away from you, there's going to be trust issues. Some people ordinarily have trust issues. It gets worse when your partner is far away. Now, you're going to spend a good number of the day wondering what they're up to, wondering what they're doing. And I know some of you will argue and say, well, I want to be on the phone with them. We talk every day. I have an idea of what their day is like. I don't think that's going to be satisfying enough, because let's face the truth. Sometimes, especially at night when you have to go to bed, you might look and be like, I wonder what she's up to. Or I wonder what he's up to. I wonder if she's lying next to another man. I wonder if she's lying next to another woman. A lot of thoughts will go through your head when you are in a long distance relationship, and it's just natural. So, because of trust issues, I am telling you, it is a bad idea to go into long distance relationship. Number 4 reason why you should stay completely away from long distance relationship is difference in life path. Come to think of it. Let's say, so I live in the United States, for example. Let's say I'm dating someone in Australia, right? Or let's say I'm dating someone in Africa. So I want you to know that it's very easy to grow apart when you're dating someone far away in another continent. It is very easy to have different life paths. Why? Because you're not together. You literally are physically not together. And so there's going to be different experiences. There's going to be difference in your lifestyles. It could even be something as simple as culture, food, the way they do things, what's important to them, their priority, and things like that. And there was a research that indicates that 46% of long distance relationships end after just 6 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months due to growing differences and emotional disconnect. Look, before I decided to talk about this, I have spoken to a lot of people who have been in long distance relationship. As a matter of fact, I have a family member who was in a long distance relationship. And I remember one of the most frustrating things for her was the lack of communication or miscommunication whenever they communicate. And it was frustrating for her. And the other part was just the lifestyle of the guy was completely different from hers. Now, it's so hard to blend your life together when someone's far away from you. And because of that, it's just a bad idea. Do not pursue long distance relationship. Please save yourself the stress, the headache. The final reason why you should never go into long distance relationship is financial strain. Let's talk about money, right? It's amazing how we get into relationships and we do not want to talk about finances. It's like a taboo sometimes. You don't want to talk to your guy about finances. You want to ask about bills, which you should, and you should do it confidently because it's important to know where they're coming from, what their beliefs are about money, what's important to them about money, and how they spend money. So we should never shy away from having conversations about money. Ultimately, though, financial strain is bound to happen in a long distance relationship. Let's break it down. Don't you want to see each other? I'm sure after a couple of months, you're wondering, oh, I miss her. I want her to come over. Oh, I miss him. I want to go see him. There's a lot of costs associated with travel and communication. Thank God with communication, it's gotten a little easier these days because you now have like WhatsApp. You have like different forms of communicating with people that it won't cost you that much money other than the internet. And most people have the internet these days. So that's kind of taken care of. Now, what is not taken care of is this study that showed that couples who are in long distance relationships in a year on average spend $1,500 on travel alone, which can cause a lot of financial strain and lead to resentment. Let's unpack that for a little bit. If your girlfriend lives in Africa, right? Or lives in the UK, for example, and you're here, I'm sure within a quarter in a year, you want to go see them. And a flight to the UK from the US, I'm thinking it's roughly around like, let's say $800, $900-ish if you're flying economy. If you're flying first class or business class, you already know that's way more. If you're flying premium, it's way more. The minimum is what we're going with here. Some of us know how many hours we have to work to make $800 or $900. And so do you really want to do all that work just to put all of that money into an air ticket? That's a lot of money for some people. Now, some people may have a lot of money to throw around, but that's not for everybody. And so it could cause a little bit of a strain because here you are thinking, I could use this money to do something else. And sometimes when you go on those trips and things doesn't turn out the way you hoped it would turn out, that's a lot of, right there is the resentment that you would never even think about that it could happen. And so financial strain is a big reason why you should stay away from long distance relationship. It's going to cost you a lot to get on that plane. Holiday seasons is even way more expensive. times like Thanksgiving, Christmas, the New Year. Summer is very expensive to travel. And so you want to think about all of those factors when you are choosing your partner several thousands of miles away. Again, because of these reasons, these 5 reasons that I'm going to break down one more time again, and I'm going to start from the end this time around. Number 1, financial strain. Number 2, lack of trust. Number 3, different life paths. Number 4, communication challenges. And the last but not the least, the lack of physical intimacy is the more reason why you should stay completely away from long distance relationship. Let's face it, right? There is no difference in human beings in terms of being a male or a female. And I'll break that down. If you're trying to get into a relationship and you live in, for example, I live in Texas, right? Texas is a big state. There are tons of people here. If I want a man from Africa, you can find one. If I want a man from, I don't know, South Africa, I can find, depending on what you're looking for, I am 100% sure you can find someone close to where you are. And so invest your time in locating someone close to where you are and pursue that with them versus someone from a completely different continent that you're going to have to struggle with time difference, struggle to stay up at night to talk to them, struggle to do things that you never would maybe even find joy doing. It's a process, right? You have to trust the process. You have to take your time to look for the people. If you want to get on dating apps, if you want to get on different platforms, if you want to see a matchmaker, depending on however way you want to do it, through work, school, old friends, referrals, you know, you want to pursue all of that options before you give up and start looking into dating someone who is thousands of miles away, because most of the time it's way too much emotional investment, it's way too much financial investment, more than you would even bargain for. And you do not want to be in a relationship where you're very resentful towards the person before you even get together. And so you want to stay away from that. I want to wish you the best in your pursuits this new year to get that man or that woman of your dreams. And I hope that you would trust yourself, trust the process, heal. Healing is important. I want to reiterate. You want to ensure that you're properly healed before you get into the next relationship with your partner. That way you're not dumping all of the emotional garbage from your previous situation into their lives and damaging them. Please heal before you pursue something new with someone new. And give people around you a chance before you start looking tens of thousands of miles away to get the love of your life. I'm sure he or she is closer than you may think. Again, tell me in the comments what you think about long distance relationship. Let me know if it has worked for you. Let me know if you have friends or family members who have success stories from long distance relationship. I definitely want to talk about all the challenges. And the next time we meet, I'll be bringing some experts who have successful long distance relationship and some that it did not work out for, just to kind of enlighten us more as to why we want to stay away from this epidemic and just do everything in our power to have the best relationship in this new year. I wish you the very best. I'll see you next time. Thank you. I'm your host, Vicky. Remember to subscribe and drop your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Talk to you soon. Be kind to yourself.